Good morning, guys. Today is Friday, so happy Friday. And today we're going to be learning about areas of rhombuses and kites. So again, rhombuses, this is from late last semester. Rhombuses are quadrilaterals with four congruent sides. So all four sides are congruent. And we also know that the diagonals of a rhombus bisect each other. So the diagonals are not the same length, and you can see that here, but they do cut each other in half. So to find our area is going to be equal to 1/2 of diagonal 1 times diagonal 2. So in this first case here, it would be area equals 1/2 and the first diagonal here is 2 plus 2 is 4 times the second diagonal of 3. So make sure that you're taking half of the whole diagonal there. Don't just look at which numbers on each side. So it would be 1/2 of 12. So this area would be 6 square units. But you're not always going to be given both diagonals. You can see here in red, this diagonal here is 24 units long, but I don't know this diagonal. So I need to find diagonal CA. So I know 24. What else do I know about this rhombus? Well, I've got 13 over here, and I know that in a rhombus, the diagonals bisect each other. So this part must be congruent to this part. If I call this point E, then DE must be congruent to BE. So each half of this 24 unit long diagonal must be 12. I've got this right angle here. So what do I have here? Well, I've got a right triangle where I can use my Pythagorean theorem to find the missing third side, this leg. So I've got a hypotenuse, 13, because 13 is across from the right angle. So what I can do is 12 squared plus, let's call that x. 12 squared plus x squared equals 13 squared. And if I take 169 minus 144, if I subtract 12 squared from both sides, it's going to be equal to 25. So subtract 12 squared from both sides. X squared is 25, so x is 5. So now I have my two diagonals. It's 24, and this is 10. So my area is 1/2 of 24 times 10, which is 120 square units. And kites are kind of straightforward. I can't really do a whole lot of Pythagorean theorem with that. But what I can do is have you use your knowledge of this particular diagonal. The shorter diagonal is going to be bisected. You can see here, especially in number 4, that this part of the diagonal is not congruent to the other part in diagonal KM. But in the shorter diagonal, JL, these two parts are congruent. So I can take this diagonal is 17, the other diagonal is 12, so my area would have to be 1/2. Diagonal 1 is 17, diagonal 2 is 12. So let's see, 17 times 6 is 60 plus 42 is 102 square units. And number 4, the only difference here is you've got to find this missing piece. But what do I know about diagonal JL? Well, the two parts of diagonal JL, when I cut it by the other diagonal KM, this diagonal here is cut in half. So this must be 4. So my area must be 1/2 of this whole diagonal, 13, times this whole diagonal of 8. So equals 13 times 4 is 40 plus 12 is 52 square